Hi, this is Sophia, and I'm going to be talking about one of my pet hates. One of my pet hates is the overuse of the word authentic in the wellness and, I don't know, would you say mindset industry? And I think it's started to become very popular using this phrase, be your authentic self in the last decade. So I say it's probably around, let me think, I think probably after 2012 or 2013, I started to see this a lot, especially in Facebook, especially when being, mindful wellness. And now these days people call it woke, that expression became very popular, kind of like trendy. And what inspired me to do this recording was this post which I saw on one of my contacts timeline tonight, and I'll read it out for you. And the original post was this image, and it goes, "I love being my authentic self and standing in my power, comma. I love to encourage other people to do the same." And then a smiley face, and then there's a nice picture of this person because he is smiling and another person next to him was smiling. And I tell you why it got to me, and I do know this person well, and he does know, but I'm not a big fan of the overuse of the word authentic. So it's like it's come a cliche, I lost its meaning. But before I commence with my discussion, talk about my big pain, I'm just going to read out some definitions of what the term authentic means. So authentic's described as an adjective, and it goes of undisputed origin and not a copy, and then its abbreviation mark genuine. And then it's got another definition to do with music, which is of a church mode containing notes between the final, the principal note, and a note or an octave higher. And then you got people on Google saying from Oxford, people who also ask, what does it mean when something is authentic? And it goes, authentic. The adjective authentic describes something that is real or genuine and not to counterfeit. In addition to describing something real, the adjective authentic describes something reliable, based on fact, and believable. That's interesting, that word, believable. And if you have to write a research paper for school, be sure to use authentic facts and figures. And why it's kind of like a big pet hate for me is because I kind of like find it strange, that sentence. And when you direct it to people saying, be your authentic self, because my question mark is, who else can you be? Seriously, who else can I be but myself? But anyway, let's read what the person response was, to my comment, the person I know. So they come back to me and they go, of course, it's a choice to use any word, even this word, smiley face, laugh out loud. And it goes, to answer your question, most people are their conditioned self and not their authentic self. By the conditioned self, I mean they are the person their mum or dad wanted them to be, or the person they were conditioned to be by going through the education system or their chosen career path. It does kind of like sound familiar. I'm not the only one who said that, but when I talk about the conveyor belt lifestyle, I talk about myself, and I've been, talking about this for a number of years, how we can be easy conditioned society. Okay, I agree with that point. And then they go on to say that they don't have any original thoughts, comma, all their thoughts come from newspapers they read, the programs they watch, the social media posts they read, etc., etc., everything that they are in projection of the external world. And then, so basically, I could get that next sentence of what they're trying to say in terms of how people could be very easily influenced about what's going wrong, and I mean, not going wrong, I mean, what's going on in a world. And I could kind of like relate to that in terms of how, people could be, gullible or easy influenced. But this to me is more of, like a human thing about how there's a need, for us to be part of something, be part of a tribe, and he said child there. I don't know what that came out for. But, being part of a child and, I said it again, being part of a, tribal, because when you think about it, us as human beings, we like to be part of something. We're like creatures of habit. We're social creatures. I think that's the term I was trying to get to. So I could totally understand that in terms of, I think in a general gist, what they're trying to say is that, people want to be accepted. That's why they're like that. And they feel a bit scared, in terms of being of self, being original. And then they go on, everything that they are is a projection of their external world. When you become your authentic self, you learn to go through meditation and you connect with your higher self, with your soul. You download information from the universe. You're connected to divine intelligence from your source. Okay, fair enough. I could understand what they're saying in terms of how we could project, what's going outside in the world. And a good example of this was in 2015 when in the UK they had some criminal who got shot down by the police and people thought it was, unfair, not very good how it happened. And then they had kind of like a summer or some weeks of riots. I think it happened in July 2015. And then it just shows you how emotions can be contagious and how people could get kind of like hysteria and follow the herd. So I could, kind of like get that. But then they talk about, meditation, connecting to your higher self. And I know for some people, they might not, totally get that. And my big criticism of that is I think sometimes people kind of like overanalyze, things, too much. And I think that might be one of the issues, in the modern times is that instead of like having things as it is, we start over analyzing it and coming up with different descriptions of different things. But, obviously we have a choice. And then they go on to talk about source. And okay, I respect that we have different types of beliefs. So I'm not going to, be too critical of that point. And then you live life with your soul purpose. I don't have any problem with that because I think it's good to find, what your meaning is. Why do you think you're here when do things? So I'm not, got to say too much about that. And then it goes, you reprogram your mind to create coherence with your heart. So you always act from a place of love and not ego. So I kind of like agree with that last sentence, in a sense that, connecting with what your heart, because this kind of like goes more to clarity and go with your feeling and what, kind of like feels good. So I don't have a problem with that, although I kind of like, disagree with the point to do with and not your ego, because I'm not going to go too much into the ego right now because I think that could be such a big subject. I could talk about that in another video, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But ego in a way is like a part of us. It's like my left hand, for example. So it's like saying my left hand is very itchy, etc. Stop following my left hand, etc. It's just a part of me. And I think people give ego, too much of a bad name. And I think it's almost like jumping on the bandwagon of someone said something about egos being negative and they're using that. And it's interesting that, this person's talking about, not trying to follow the masses and everything like that. So my question to them is, what is the ego? Isn't an ego a part of us? And why should we be trying to suppress a part of us, or like what some people might describe a shadow of us? So I kind of like disagree with that. And ego could be something I could talk about in another video. And then they go on to talk about, in fact, your master, your ego, so is on your side and no longer blocks you from creating and getting into action. Most people not their authentic self find it very difficult to get into action and be creative because their ego is blocking them. There's the ego being attacked again. And then that's why authentic people are inspirational and higher successful. I trust that this is now clear, Sophia. Husbands, obviously, they're tagging me. Why choose to write authentic self, smiley face. So that's the end of, kind of the blurb on that. So, okay, they got their point of view. Some part of it I agree with. Some other parts I don't agree with. And I think that's the thing. People go into, like too much detail. When you think about it, do we really talk about that in our everyday, type of conversation? So, for example, like saying, connecting with this, that, this middle self, higher self. No, we don't. We don't really talk about this. I think people should just, say things in more plain, simple language. And I think there's a lot to be learnt in terms of younger children, because younger children, get to the point clear, make sense of things, and they're not that stressful as, adults. One of the things which is, discussed in this blurb in terms of how we get, brainwashed as we get older, when we just keep things simple in terms of, come up with all these different words or phrases, and, trying to create a meaning out of every single thing. That's why you got, a lot of people getting stressed out, because they're just not, accepting things as it is. What I mean is, they can't like over analyzing things a bit, a bit too much. As said in terms of saying that, this doesn't feel really good at all. And I'm a big fan of, being yourself, because in my tag, if you follow me on Instagram, which I hope you do, and asking why you're not following me, is you find that one of my hashtags is be your awesome self. And I actually prefer the phrase awesome, because awesome to me kind of like conjures up, much more positivity, being yourself instead of being your authentic self. Because I think another reason why I probably don't like the use authentic, because I keep thinking of things like this is the authentic, jeans brand, etc. But obviously it's all connotations. It's a bit like the opening where he goes back to me, it's your choice of words, because in my original comment to him, I actually said, ugh, authentic. Yes, it's a choice to use this word, although it's overused in the wellness industry. Why not say I like being myself? Who else can be? But it's my question. So I think that the whole purpose of finding yourself and being yourself, it's all about the age of honesty, being very clear, like really tapping in, like what holds true to me, what's my values. And you could do like sort of like different exercises to to find out what's your core values. And the thing is, we're always changing all the time, always developing. So I'm a different Sophia to, how I was a week ago, a year ago, or 5 years ago. So we always change it all the time. So it's okay to change your opinions, and it's good to give your opinions. It's good to like question things. And I think it's all about tapping in to yourself. And when something, a really simple thing, when something doesn't feel really good, or you feel a bit awkward or uncomfortable about something, then that's, you also like sense the same that something doesn't sound right, or it's like something I'm saying and I'm not feeling it. So that's kind of like my big soundbite on the overuse of the word authentic. Do you agree with me in terms of you get sick of seeing that phrase, be authentic self? And because I just find it totally patronizing, because who else can you be but yourself? And yes, I agree, to some extent what we're saying in terms that we could be conditioned, but why use that word authentic self? It should be more like take out the authentic, just be yourself, just be me. I'm playing at being, Sophia, which would be the case of me. Why do we have to come up with different things, or come up with different versions, or why can't we just accept the different versions of myself? For example, like me being sexy, sultry, me being assertive, etc. It's all about accepting all different elements of ourselves. And that goes back to the earlier point to where I was talking about why I have another pain about people giving ego a bad name. So that was my discussion on why I think that the word or the phrase or the sentence authentic self is just really annoying, and why we should just get back to simple basics and once you make things more simple, like as I said, we learn from young children, then things become so much easier. So that was my blurb, and I hope to enjoy it. And if you have any comments or feedback, then please feel free to post. And that's me signing out, Sophia, and I hope you enjoy this video.